Rural hospitals are disappearing in Kentucky. They're becoming more scarce because the cost to keep them open is just too high. But the people living in those communities still need medical care, and lately first responders are turning to the sky. WKYT's Miranda Combs investigates the growing trend of air ambulances.
At Boyle County's Stewart Powell Field, there is a group that's always on standby. At a moment's notice, they can be called. And just 10 minutes after that, this crew needs to be airborne.
A little bumpy out today. Yeah.
This all happens fast.
Go my way. All right.
Here, though, in this rural town tucked inside the county, there's not much hurry.
Been here all my life.
Mayor Jim Douglas says there's been a slow progression in Junction City. The number of his citizens taking to the sky is on the rise.
This is just a protection for the citizens.
Douglas and his council made the decision to deal with it. They bought memberships for everyone in the city to cover them in the county when this quiet life takes an unexpected turn.
It could be a life-saving thing.
Our company has opened probably 3 or 4 bases in the last 5 years.
And this Boyle County hangar is a hub for Air Evac, one of several air ambulance companies in operation in Kentucky.
We work together. We love doing our job. You know, it's a very dangerous job flying around in this aircraft.
We went up with one of their crews on a clear afternoon.
We generally cover area about 80-mile radius of us from Danville.
They take calls from first responders. The first responders decide if a medical flight is necessary.
We generally get called out to the sickest of the sick patients. You know, we're generally not going out to Joe that stumped his toe on his refrigerator at home. You know, our patients are, you know, major trauma type patients or cardiac events that have happened to these patients.
But air ambulances have made headlines recently for just that, picking up and flying out patients who end up with minor injuries and major money due to the medical flight.
They're only 15 minutes away from a hospital. I told them to take them to Danville.
WKYT interviewed a mother in 2013 whose child was flown out by Air Evac. 4 stitches to the head later, they owed thousands.
Probably 80% of what we do is, is the fixed cost.
Air Evac Program Director Donald Hare says the average cost of a flight is around $32,000. Insurance pays on average $8,000 to $12,000 of that.
About 14 to 16% of our flights are people with no insurance whatsoever and don't have the ability to pay for that flight.
And what happens then?
We work with them and try and set up a payment arrangement or, do what we can as far as that goes to obviously, to collect some type of payment for the service.
I think more and more cities, if they can afford it, they're going to go to it.
And that takes us back to Junction City. Air Evac offers memberships. The city pays the company $11,800 a year to ensure that anyone flown by Air Evac in his city flies for free. Air Evac will bill the patient's insurance and not ask the patient for a penny more.
It'll be abused. Everything's always abused to a certain point. They'll be flown when they don't need to be. They are now. But who's to make the call,
The thing about Junction City is they do have a hospital just a few miles away. Come up here to Nicholas County, the building behind me, that's the hospital that's been closed for more than a year. The fastest way to get to a hospital from here is this square piece of pavement.
The quickest route is by air.
Adam Tubbs works for the Nicholas County Ambulance Service as an EMT. He knows the roads of this county and Robertson County better than most.
So there are times that you might be over here and get a call that you need to be over here.
Yeah.
And what happens in those situations?
We go. And it's just going to take us a while.
And in those cases, many times, they call for a medical flight.
It could take maybe 30 miles to get to a call from us.
And when you're talking about that golden hour.
Yeah, that's why our medical is important.
He says when the call needs to be made, money isn't on their mind.
You're playing with somebody's life, so at that point I think everybody kind of forgets about the financial obligation of that.
They call for flights several times a week because the options in this rural part of the state are limited.
And it is a hard call because of the cost of air transport, but in 1 minute's count, you gotta do what you gotta do.
And since the Nicholas County Hospital closed more than a year ago, the judge executive has been looking at options both to help his residents but also to bring jobs to the county. He's currently trying to get an air ambulance company to locate in Nicholas County. So far, though, he hasn't been able to attract one, but he says he's going to keep trying.
And Miranda, when you're talking about critical situations, let's take a heart attack, it is dramatic in the difference of time between flight time and ground time, right?
They were saying in Carlisle, for instance, to get to UK by ground with lights and sirens, it's going to take at least 30 minutes. By air, it's 8 minutes.
Wow.
Big difference.
Quite a dilemma here.
Yeah.
It is. Double-edged sword for sure.
Life-saving.
Thank you, Miranda.